I speak on podcasts, I write, I do my own podcast, sharing this information that success is actually a natural biological function that we're designed to experience. And the only reason the only reason we're struggling is like the only reason anything struggles. You're not doing it right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Ability Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. Today I have Liam, and man, I can't wait for our conversation, and I know he's going to help you so much. So, Liam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure, Nick. Well, thank you. By the way, just while I say it, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure to be here. But I guess probably like everyone listening or watching, and probably like you yourself, and I see that you have this word in the back behind you there saying success. You've got it a couple of times, success. And I guess for most of my life, and as I say, like the people watching and listening, I've been consumed by this idea, what is success? And more importantly, how do you achieve success? How do you really make the most out of your life? Because, again, like everyone listening, I'm sure, the reason you're listening, the reason you're here is you don't want to just settle for a mediocre life. You want to have a great life. That's what's always driven me and consumed me with, is to figure out how can I be better? How can I achieve more, have more, do more, and be more? And that worked pretty well for me, I thought, for many years. And because I studied all sorts of different things, from self-help, personal development, like goal setting, motivation, working with your subconscious mind, working with your beliefs, having, visualizing what you want, deciding what you want, and having plans and strategies to achieve what you want. And I also studied spirituality and religion and all of those things, which often claim to have the answers to how to be successful and how to be the best that you can be in your life. I studied lots of these things, and I also had my own businesses. I went into business for myself after I went to university. And so I became pretty successful on a financial and, if you like, material level. But a couple of things went wrong with all of that. The firstly was I always had problems and stress. I was one of those entrepreneurs, driven entrepreneurs. People back then would have said I was always very driven. What's the next goal? How can I achieve more? But my life was full of stress and full of problems. And I thought, I came to believe, that's what success, and that's the price you pay for success, is problems, stress. You have to learn to overcome challenges. You have to learn to overcome obstacles. That's the name of the game. So I've always had problems and stress, and obviously I had good times as well. And I became a multimillionaire. I had beautiful homes. I had multiple businesses going at the same time. Had lots of freedom to travel and do things that I liked. But I was never that happy because I had these problems and stress, and also because I always thought I had this idea in the back of my mind, this little voice which kept saying, there's more. You can't be satisfied. There's something that you're missing out on. So I was always driven. And then, so here I was barreling along quite successfully in this stressed, successful state. But then in my mid-40s, something happened which should have never happened. And that was I lost everything. I literally overnight lost everything. And I became homeless, had no money. I had to move in and live with my elderly mother. And she lived in this tiny little apartment. And the only place to sleep was on the sofa in the living room, and it was a small living room as well. So from that moment, or from that experience, I learned something completely different about what success means. And I don't mean that in some sort of airy-fairy way that, it's not about being rich and it's not about having everything. It is about all of that. It is about having everything you want in your life on a material level. But it's also about having feelings of fulfillment, a feeling of purpose, of knowing, yes, I really am being the best that I can be. I am in control of my life. I know where I'm going. I know why I'm here. And I have this.
And that's freedom.
That is true freedom. That is emotional freedom. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're all seeking, is that emotional freedom. So
Yep.
how I developed that was after I'd been through that experience of sleeping on my mother's sofa and being all stressed and having nothing. When
Yep.
I came out the other side and I started to rebuild my life and create new businesses, but things were completely different. And a couple of the big differences were, well, because I was starting to earn money again, plenty of money. I was starting with my own businesses again and starting to make them work. I was starting to do things that I really wanted to do, travel, had a new relationship with somebody amazing, starting to do some really exciting things, quote unquote, live my dreams. But there were a couple of big differences between this life and the one I'd previously had. And maybe the best way to describe it, the difference, is that before I'd always been chasing after success. I'd always be thinking, what do I need to learn? What do I need to do? What do I need to find out? Where are the opportunities? What do I need to do to get more success in my life? What bigger goals do I need to set? What mental habits and physical habits do I need to develop? What books do I need to read? What courses and seminars do I need to go to? All of these things. That was me. So I was chasing after success. I was really pushing all the time. I want to be more successful. How do I do it? How do I do it? Whereas this time around, instead of me chasing after success, in a weird sort of way, and I know this sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's not, and I'll explain that it was very practical, but in a weird sort of way, instead of chasing after success, it was like success was chasing after me.
Oh, I like that.
All of these things were happening to me that were unexpected, like good luck, you might say. You know, I remember meeting somebody. I was in a retail store, and this man walked in, and he recognized me, and I sort of recognized him. I thought, you look familiar. But he said, Liam, remember me? I last met you in one of your classes that you taught 25 years ago. And I know what you're like in business. There's an opportunity. I have a business, and just next to mine is an opportunity that would be perfect for you to set up a business, doing what you're really good at, what you used to do 25 years ago. And I thought, okay, all right, but hang on, I don't have any money. I have absolutely nothing. And this was a business that required some capital. It needed some money to set it up and start operating.
Yeah.
But before I knew it, the money showed up. People came along and helped me and things. And I was like, how is this happening? How did this person show up? Why is this person helping me? How did I get that new idea? Where did this opportunity come from? And it all just fell into place. And lots of things started to happen like that. Things just started to fall into place. And I thought, this is luck, or this is good luck, or this is a coincidence, or synchronicity. But what I didn't understand was why this was all happening. And I said to myself, I want to figure out what's really going on. Because the second thing that was happening that was part of this, remember I mentioned the stress and the problems? Well, I woke up one day, a while later, I thought, things are going really well in my life. Things are flowing. I've got a great relationship. I've got great businesses making me all the income I need. I've got a lifestyle I really love. By that stage, I was sailing around the world on my own yacht and managing my businesses from a yacht, from the other side of the world. And I did that for 8 years. I lived on a yacht and traveled for 8 years. And I thought two things. The first thing I thought was, hang on a moment. One thing I notice about this is, where are the stress and where are the problems? Where's the stress and problem? It's not there. Sure, I'm putting in effort, but there's a flow to my life. There's a natural feeling that things are working. It's like things are all falling into place. And I'm not waking up all stressed. I'm not finding these unexpected problems coming along and knocking me off track and making me feel really stressed. So I thought, this is really strange. And I said to myself, I'm going to do two things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what I'm doing differently. I'm really going to figure this out, because whatever it is, this is life or death stuff for me. But whatever I'm doing is working, and I want to make sure I don't stop doing what I'm doing. I don't know what it is. I want to make sure I don't stop doing it. So that was the first thing. And the second thing I said to myself is, when I figure this out, I'm going to share it with other people. Because the life I'm leading is so, I've lived that old life of stress and problems. That's not the life I'm leading now. So I know you don't need to live like that to be successful.
Yep.
So I want to figure out what it is, and I'm going to show other people and teach them how to live what is a much more natural way of living rather than this stressed struggle state. And I say it's a natural way of living because also if you observe nature, there's no stress or struggle. There's activity, but if you really watch a bird or an animal, it's just doing its thing. It's not really in stress or struggle. So it just felt a lot more natural. It feels a lot more natural. And I said, I'm going to figure out what it is. As I say, that's what I do now. I went on this because I'd done so much study in so many different areas of, as I say, personal development and spirituality and religion and psychology and all of these things. I started to pull all these ideas together based on my experience. And what I also found was new information was coming to me. I was seeing new things.
Exactly.
I'd pick up the right book for some reason, or I'd, find the right website. And all of it started to make sense as to what was going on. And that's what I do now, is I've packaged it all into coaching programs, teaching programs. I speak on podcasts, I write, I do my own podcast, sharing this information that success is actually a natural biological function that we're designed to experience. And the only reason the only reason we're struggling is like the only reason anything struggles. You're not doing it right. You're not using the natural machinery, the natural flow in the way it's designed to be used. So that's
exactly. One thing that you kept saying was luck. I kept hearing you say luck. And people always think it's luck. It's luck. But what I experienced is the more actions I take, the luckier I get. That's all it is. Take more actions. Take the right actions. And like for you, with your journey, you stopped to figure out, okay, what is working? Why am I being successful now? What actions are helping? And now you're taking you're packaging it all up and helping other people do the same thing, which is just incredible. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? Helping others. So it's just awesome that you took a moment, because a lot of successful people, they don't want to teach what they know. There's only a small percent that actually offer their help. So for you to do that is just so awesome.
Well, it's fun, and it's what I feel I'm here to do, so I might as well do it.
Exactly. It's your purpose, Yeah. And as you know, when you have a purpose, you talked about this, when you have a purpose, it's much easier. Like life becomes easy because you have a reason to get up every day and work for what you want and work to help others. So in my opinion, having a purpose is everything, and a lot of people on this entrepreneurial journey who are new, one thing that I can say is if your why is big enough, so like why you want to do it, the how you'll do it will reveal itself. That's what I've experienced. If your why is big enough, the how will reveal itself. And that's kind of like what you talked about. Somebody who knew you 20 years ago came up to you and they had this opportunity. Well, there's your how right there.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Really cool.
Well, what I didn't realize is that all of these things that we call luck or the big why, the motivation you have, why you should do something, or why things happen in your life, these all are based on a biological law of nature. So it's not just an idea. It's actually as physical and fundamental a law as, say, the law of gravity. And when you think about the laws of nature, or think about the law of gravity, you know that overrides everything. And you can use that law, the law of gravity, you can use it for to build amazing structures. You can use it to build buildings. You can use it to, it enables us to walk around the planet without flying off. So we can use it for in very positive ways. But we can also use it in negative ways. So we can walk off the top of a cliff and fall down to the bottom and hurt ourselves. And the difference between the way we use it is going to determine the results we get. So if we use the law of gravity in the right way, or in a way that empowers us, it makes life easier. And we get much better results. But if we don't use it the right way, and maybe through not knowing how it works, maybe we think, some people might think if you walk off a building, if you didn't know about gravity, you might think you could fly in the air rather than go down. So you need to know to use this particular law in the right way. And when you do, you'll get the right result. And it's exactly the same with success in our life. There's a biological structure. Now, sometimes we call them things like luck, coincidence. But when you really think about it, you have to start asking yourself, like I did, why do the things in my life happen the way they do? And they actually happen according to a biological law. And I call it the biological law of success. Nature, if you look around nature, and there's been a lot of research done on this, even Charles Darwin, who had the theory of evolution, he came to this conclusion as well. And the conclusion is that nature, this natural world we live in, has spent billions of years figuring out how to be successful. So all of the obstacles, to all of the things that go wrong to creating success, to creating as close to perfection in the natural world as possible. In other words, for everything to happen in the right way. And when you think about it, everything does happen in the right way. The planets, the stars, they all move around in exactly the right motion as they have in a very orderly pattern. The sun comes up in the morning. We have our days, our seasons, animals and creatures. They all have natural cycles. They all do things in a very natural way. And what these people have realized, or come to the conclusion, is that over billions of years, we've worked out the perfect way for everything to be successful. In other words, and success, the definition of success is survival. Being the best that you can be so that you have the greatest chance for survival, because everything is biologically wired, just like we talk about the law of gravity. The law of natural success is that everything is wired, designed, and literally programmed to be the best that it can be so that it has the greatest chance for survival. And nature has figured out how to do that over billions of years. It's figured out what works. If it didn't work, it wouldn't work. We wouldn't be here. So what we don't realize is we're part of this biological success mechanism. So we're designed we're designed to be the best that we can be biologically as well. That's how the human organism, or the human species, has developed as well. And we've got everything we need to be the best that we can be.
We do.
But the instrument, the tool, the mechanism that we have to ensure that we're the best that we can be, we have that. That's a brain. A brain is, and for every living thing, is nothing more than a machine or a mechanism designed to ensure that that organism survives for as long as possible in the best way possible by being the best that it can be. And for humans, that also means happy. It means being fulfilled. It means doing what you're supposed to do with the least amount of stress. And it doesn't mean dealing with problems and having obstacles, because problems and obstacles don't help you survive. They don't make you better, despite what some people have said. They don't make you stronger. There's so much research. When you are stressed, you are putting strain on your body. You are weakening your body. You are going to create disease. You are going to shorten your lifespan. So the most important thing that I didn't realize, that no one had ever taught me, is this biological purpose for you to be the best that you can be. You are here to be biologically successful. You have a mechanism, a machine, a brain, which is the brain, which is designed to ensure that happens. So all you need to do is learn how to use your brain correctly. And what I didn't realize, and what I later figured out, that my life is stressed when things were struggling and, had all these problems, versus the new life, I was shifting the way I was using my brain. And I later figured out biologically what I was doing differently and why I was getting different results. And things like motivation, inspiration, creativity, luck, coincidence, synchronicity, all of these things, problem solving, all of those things come from directly, biologically, from using a particular part of your brain. But most people don't access this part of their brain on a consistent basis, which is why they see luck and coincidence only happen very rarely in their life. But I can tell you, for myself and for so many people, when I've helped to make this shift in the way they're using the machine, luck, coincidence, and good stuff starts showing up an awful lot more often. And then you start to realize there's no such thing as luck. And it's not based on hard work. It's based on your brain bringing you, and I know this sounds a bit woo-woo, but when you start to study this, which is what I teach people, and you start to understand how it works, you see this as perfectly scientific, perfectly biological, can be totally backed up by scientific fact. And most importantly, it can be backed up by your own experience, because when you start to use your brain differently, use it in this different way, the way it's naturally designed to be used, you get so many different results. I've had many people contact me and say, Liam, you're not going to believe what's happened to me. This stuff that I'm doing in my life now, it's amazing. I'm so much happier than I used to be. I've got this new business, or I'm moved to this different area. I've got a new relationship, or things are going in a completely different way in my relationship, whatever. I never could believe that this could have happened to me. Of course you don't know, but your brain does. Your brain, when you start to use it in this particular different way, it's going to bring all the right things to you, and you then get into the flow of life, like every other living creature is, apart from most of us. You're not traveling, but you're in the flow of life, and that's really what it's all about.
It is incredible, and like I said, I like to say the more actions I take, the luckier I get, and that kind of, to me, it makes like luck a joke. Like you said, there's not really such thing as luck, but like for me, it's taking more actions, doing the right things, and using our brains, like you've been saying, the right way. So that's incredible.
Just for people listening and watching, though, you have to be a little bit careful. I think, my opinion, just to slightly clarify maybe what you're saying, you have to be a little bit careful about this taking massive action idea, because that's what I used to think like. It was all about just taking lots of action. But it's not actually that, and I'm sure you'll agree, it's about taking the right action. So
exactly.
How do you ensure that you take the right action? Because I used to be one of those many people, like I'm sure people listening, and I used to go to a seminar and I'd be all pumped up, or I'd be so motivated, and I'd get back and take massive action. And I did a lot of the wrong things. And I'd also do something and say, that doesn't really feel right to do that, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to make it work, and I'm just going to take all the action I need to make it work. And invariably, it was the wrong thing, and all it did was create more mess. So I did that. And the problem is, when you're taking a lot of action, if you're not using your brain in the right way, your brain is going to make you take lots of the wrong action. And it's not that you want to take the wrong action, it's what your brain is designed to do, is to, because we could maybe talk a little bit about how the brain is structured. I've created a 4-part brain model as to how this actually works. But there's a part of your brain that is all about survival. And what it's designed for is to get you out of danger. So millions of years ago, again, when the brain, but from physical danger, because millions of years ago, when the brain was being developed and adapting to the conditions, it was a dangerous world physically. You'd be walking, there were lots of wild animals roaming about. So we needed to develop a defense mechanism to protect us from immediate danger. And we sometimes call it the fight-flight mechanism. And what it is, it's a signal from our brain that we are facing an immediate threat, something that could harm us physically or even kill us, like the lion behind the rock. And the way the brain tells us that we're faced with an immediate threat, well, first of all, how it works is when the brain sees a threat to our survival, it sends a signal in the form of feelings. And the feelings are all those negative feelings: fear, stress, worry, anxiety. So what the brain literally does is it says, I see a danger, send the message of fear, stress, worry, anxiety. And what those feelings do, it's a signal to activate a part of the brain that is the fight, that includes the fight-flight part. I call it the survival brain because it does other things as well. But it's all about getting you to survive. So what you end up doing, without even knowing or even being consciously aware of it, is you react to a danger. And you can think, well, this is really useful because if a lion comes running towards you, you just need to jump out of the way. Or imagine in modern times if someone was about to hit you, we just have this automatic response to defend ourselves. So we're not really thinking about it. Or a car comes towards us, we jump out of the way. So all of this is done without thinking. So this part of the brain is activated by feelings of fear, stress, worry, and anxiety. When you feel that, it's a sign that your brain, for whatever reason, is telling you there's a threat to your survival. Now, most of the time, these days, there isn't a threat to your survival. But if you're feeling that somehow, and I teach people how to change your brain's perception of what's going on, but somehow your brain has made a mistake and it's recognizing a threat when there isn't one. But the problem with that is that when you activate, or when you feel those feelings, you activate this reactive defense mechanism part of your brain, and that part of your brain has no awareness. It has no creativity, imagination. It doesn't know how to solve problems. It doesn't know what you really should be doing with your life. It doesn't, it's not inspirational. It's not motivational. In fact, it's the opposite of motivation. Because when you think about it, when you're reacting to a danger, part of it is you might not do anything. You freeze. So there's no motivation there. So, and the part of your brain that contains all of those things, and I'm sure people would agree, if you want to really make the most of your life, if you want to figure out or live your life to your greatest potential, if you want to solve any problem that comes along really quickly and effectively, if you want to minimize the problems that you have in your life, in other words, not create more problems for yourself, and if you want to do great things, and if you want to be really clear, you need to have motivation, inspiration, creativity, imagination, resourcefulness, awareness, problem-solving ability. You need all of those skills available to you. So what happens when you're in this stressed, anxious state where your brain is telling you you've got to deal with a danger and you're shut down in this fight-flight state? You don't have access to all of those resources. And I thought, this is the answer, because I can see what's happening. What are we doing? What are most people doing? They're in a state of fear, worry, stress, and anxiety, and they're trying to make their life work. And they're trying to say, I don't know what to do. What do I need to do? What are my goals? What should I do? How can I solve this problem? How can I fix this? What's the next thing I need to do? How can I be happy? What can I do? And you're using a part of the brain that doesn't have any of the answers to that. It's not designed for that. It literally can't help you. And that's why you stay stressed, and that's why you struggle, because the part that has all these other resources, that knows what you want, crystal clarity. Because when you use this other part of your brain, which I call your creative brain, which is located right in the center of your skull, primarily through your pineal gland, so this is a physical thing, and not just an idea. When you activate this physical creative brain, which you can only do when you're not feeling fear, stress, worry, and anxiety, all of the answers become crystal clear. Not only that, but you know what the right things to do. You know, how many times do we have a problem and we're all stressed and worried and we're trying to figure it out and worried about making mistakes, doing the wrong thing, and we forget about it for a little while, and maybe we go and do something that we enjoy, have a glass of wine, I don't know, go and do something nice. And suddenly the idea comes to us, the answer comes to us. We go, why didn't I think of that before? That's so obvious. That's what I should do. And you go and do it, and it all works. Now, why don't those things happen more often? It's because
you're stressed out.
That answer has come from a different part of your brain, and you don't have access to those answers when you're feeling afraid, stressed, and worried. It's just not going to happen biologically. It's impossible. So the real answer to using your brain the right way is you've got to start activating this creative brain and shutting down the fear-based brain. In other words, you've got to start finding ways, and I teach all of this as well, how to stop your brain making you feel afraid. I mean, there are some things to be afraid of. Like if someone is going to come and hit you, sure, That's the time to feel afraid. Or if a car is coming towards you and going to hit you, feel afraid. But most of the other stuff, reading, watching the news and being in a negative conversation, worrying about the future, being stressed about things that are happening in our life, none of those things are life-threatening. So if we want the answers to those things, we have to allow this creative part of our brain. And that comes down to understanding how you can shut off this fear response, this fear action, and allow your creative brain to start doing its job. And that was the difference in my life. I was operating from fear and stress. I was always stressed and pushing and struggling. And then when I lost everything, I switched to saying, I give up. I'm just going to let it go. I don't know what to do anymore. I've lost everything. I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know how to make money. I don't know why it's happened to me, even, because it shouldn't have happened to me. I was the expert on success and taking action and motivation and setting goals. It still happened to me. So I don't know the answer. I don't know how to do this. And when I started to acknowledge that I was going to give up struggling and trying to find ways for it to find answers, that's when this other part of my brain started to take control. And that's when I started to find out that this is the way we're naturally designed to live. We're naturally designed to live in this state. Science has words for this. This is a state called homeostasis. Homeostasis is a biological state, which means the optimal functioning of the organism. And when you are feeling good, when you're feeling happy and grateful, things work better in your life. You have better ideas. It's not just about optimism, but when you are optimistic, you see opportunities rather than problems. You see ways to do things. You get new ideas. This is all your creative brain at work, and that's the state we're designed to be in to make our life what it's supposed to be, which is what every other life form's life is like, which is successful, happy, working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's just incredible. Your insights are just gold. Like, every word you speak is gold. So thank you so much, because I know that this not only helped me a lot, because you helped me realize that I gotta change my little saying, take massive actions. No, take the right, the more right actions I take, the luckier I get. I like that a lot better. The more right actions I take. So yeah, that's gold. Thank you so much for sharing everything.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
When you're feeling good, you love taking action, don't you?
Yeah,
you take more, people say to me, well, if I'm not stressed and worried, I won't be motivated to get anything done. It's quite the opposite.
No.
When you're feeling good, you're so much more productive. And you're not worried about making mistakes, and you're just doing stuff. So it's actually the opposite. You're far more productive, and you do a lot more when you're in a good emotional state rather than being stressed.
Yeah, because like me, 3 years ago, before I started my business, anything like that, I was stressed all the time. And now I'm at a point where technically I should be stressed all the time, but I'm stressed way less than I was back then. So it's just like, but that's because, I've gone through self-development and all of that, constantly learning. But yeah, it's just incredible how things work. And yeah, you're 100% correct. The less stressed you are, the more creative you are. So that's incredible. Thank you.
If you ask any great artist, composer, they will tell you when they're stressed and they can't. The stuff doesn't come. The ideas don't come. But when they are not stressed, when they're loving what they're doing and they're letting go and just allowing, that's when they get the inspiration and the ideas.
Exactly.
Every composer throughout history who's written music, even to the present day, and I've seen lots of interviews with songwriters, actually, really well-known ones, and people have often said to them, where did you get the idea for that song? Where did that come from? They all give exactly the same answer. You know what the answer is? I don't know. I don't know where it just came to me. So it didn't come from struggling and trying to figure it out and sitting down and saying, oh, I've got to come up with a song and a tune or a melody, and I've got to figure it out, and I'm just going to sit here for hours and struggle. It doesn't come from that part of your brain. All of that thinking, analyzing, that's a different part of your brain, again, to your creative brain. But if you allow your creative brain to bring you ideas, it's like when you get a new idea, whatever it is, whether it's a new song or an idea on how to solve a problem, it'll come to you from a different place. But if you struggle, if you try and force it to come, that part of your brain does not operate from force. Force and struggle is not a part of the natural world. You watch a stream, you watch water flowing down a stream. It's not struggling to get to the sea. It goes down the stream, and when it comes to a rock or a weed or an obstacle, it just goes around it. Obviously doesn't think about it, but it takes the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is the natural path. That's what nature is all built on, the fact that if you resist something, it slows you down. If you ride a bicycle into the wind, it's going to be a lot more effort. You're not going to get anywhere than if you ride with it. The whole of nature is built on that. But we've forgotten that. We try and resist what is rather than go with the flow and realize that this part of our brain, if we do that, is always going to take us in the right direction for us.
Yep, exactly. So awesome. So my slogan is, your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Well, what we're dealing with, this brain, there have been so many books written on the brain. And you know what's interesting, I find, is the last page, every single author of every book has pretty well said exactly the same thing about the brain. And everyone from Carl Sagan, the astronomer, to all sorts of people who've studied the brain, and they come to this one conclusion. The brain is the most incredible instrument, machine, thing that exists in the universe, in the known universe.
Yeah.
So, and this creative part of your brain is connected to something that is infinite. There is an infinite intelligence, whether you're prepared to admit it or not. There is something that makes everything work. Some people call it God, some people call it energy, but because it's infinite, it's infinitely intelligent. So what our creative brain, and because it's infinite, means we're connected to it. We're a part of it. But our access to this infinite intelligence is through using our brain the right way, using this creative part of our brain. And when we do, we realize that we do have infinite abilities, and that our brain is the machine designed to express the fullness of ourself, the uniqueness of ourself, in the most successful and best way possible. Because if it didn't do that, we wouldn't be here. We do have an infinite ability. Now that doesn't mean you can jump 100 feet in the air if you decide you can. But what it means is that your brain will ensure that everything you need in your life for you to be the best that you can be will be there if you use it the right way. So yes,
that's awesome.
We have infinite ability, but we don't really. I think most of the time we like to say that, but most of us don't believe it really, because we've never experienced it. We think we're limited. We think, I'm just me and I have to struggle and I've got all these problems and I have to try and figure it out, because if I don't, then I'll just get more problems. That's not the way we work at all. We work in a completely different way. We have this access to an infinite intelligence that knows all the answers to everything, knows what we want, knows what we should have to be the best that we can be, because that's why we're here and that's what it's designed to be. We just need to use it the right way.
Exactly. Well, that was beautiful and a very unique way of looking at it. I hear a lot of different answers, and every single one's different. So I love all of them. So incredible.
That's right.
So if people want to reach out to you, find you, where can they find you?
Everything's on my website, which is just my name, liamnaden.com. And I've got a podcast. I've got lots of information about the 4 parts of your brain. I've also got a really special webinar up at the moment. I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep it on. So if people are listening or watching, they really should go there. Just take a moment, go there right now and sign up to this free webinar, because what I teach there is not just a bit more of an explanation as to how your brain works and how you work biologically, but also how you can start really using this. Because people say to me, well, it's all very well for you to say, use your brain the right way and don't worry about things. But I can't do that. You're not like me. You don't have all these problems and things going wrong in your life like I do. But remember, I lost everything. That was a big problem. But my brain managed to sort that thing out. So in this webinar, I'm really teaching people and showing you how you can start using your brain the right way, because what happens is if you start to use it in a different way, you get a different result. And you say, oh, how did that happen? Where did I get that idea from? How come that problem got solved so easily? How come I managed to do that so well? And then you start to realize, oh, I am it must be that using the brain that different way. And you start to put the two and two together, and you get an experience of this at work. And once you start to get an experience of it, you know that this is the way it works, and you do more of it. And literally, as I say, what happened for me and for many people I've helped, they wake up and with a different life, and not in a different life where, they don't want it. It's like so much better than they ever expected. And it's so much better a life than they ever would have thought would be on a goals list or anything like that. It's a different way of living entirely. So that's all in this webinar. It's all at liamnaden.com. So if people are watching or listening and there's a little bit of them that says, there's a little voice inside them that says, what Liam's saying makes a bit of sense here. Maybe I should find out what that is. Listen to that voice. Don't think, well, I haven't got time, or, it's all, I've got other things to do, or maybe it won't work. There's a voice in you that knows what you should be doing. I mean, if you don't feel that, that's fine. It's not right for you. But if you feel any inkling of that, recognize that's your creative brain trying to lead you down the right path. And maybe the next step for you in that case is to have a look at that webinar and learn a little bit more about how your brain works, and give up this idea of in this life of struggling through using a part of your brain the wrong way, to getting in the flow of life so that you can actually do what you're here to do, which is to have an adventure, an enjoyable life, not a struggle. It's not meant to be that way. Anyway, that's all on my website, liamnaden.com.
Sounds good. And I'll drop your link in the show notes so everybody can just click on it. So, Liam, thank you so much. This was absolutely incredible.
Thank you very much for having me, Nick. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.